Good to see you, Eric
incredible.
Davis. Good to see you, brother.
Good to be here.
What did you make of the whole conversation that we talked about with the Chris Command Center right there with the Jarvis Landry crackback block that cost 15 yards? Do you think he should have been ejected for that?
No, I don't think he should have been ejected.
So then that would be the targeting rule.
I don't think you can put that in.
You don't think so?
I don't think you should put that in the NFL because the game is so much faster, and I think you should leave it as is. If someone does it twice, you can say that, okay, you went to the head and neck area. We think that you intended to do it. Okay, that's that number one infraction. If it happens again, you kick someone out. The game happens so quickly. And what if I'm coming in and I'm aiming directly for your shoulder and you duck? And that's what happens. I mean, because these guys are so quick and they feel it and they see it and they duck.
Well, that's why college uses replay to take a look at it.
But even in replay, you can, even if you still duck, if I hit you in your head, I'm still out of the game.
Well, that's the problem. That's what I'm saying, is that if you could use some sort of common sense with replay together to figure out if somebody, in the same way that what happened with Cam in week one, if you leave your feet and you go ahead and you make contact in the head and neck area with the intention of separating a football or putting you down, right? Which is, I guess, the idea of anytime you try to tackle somebody. So, but if you leave your feet and you launch and you hit somebody in the head and neck area, then that's the definition of it.
But still, if I leave my feet, okay, let's just say that you have a 5'10", 5'11" corner on a blitz.
Yes.
Who's coming in and he's trying to take down Cam Newton, who is 6'6", 260. He is going and he is aiming for his shoulder. So he is going to try to run through this guy and he's going to leave his feet. It's just simple physics to get him down. He's going to have to bring every ounce, every brick that he has with him to try to get him down. Now, if Cam feels that and goes to sit down like we see quarterbacks do from time to time, because they do feel it, and they'll start to sit down, you hit him in his head. Yes, he left his feet. Yes, he launched. Yes, he's aiming for a point, and he ends up hitting him in his head, but he's not necessarily aiming for that spot. He shouldn't be ejected from the game. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think you should put that in there. But if it happens again, well, guess what? Shame on you. You know that you have that one.
So
hit him in his stomach.
It shouldn't be one and done like there
is
in college football. I don't think it should be one and done.
No. And then in Williams' case, looking at what happened with Williams on that crackback, also, okay, yes, throw the flag, don't eject him from the game, because also know this defender, dude, you know there are 11 guys out there. You know where they are. You cannot.
You ran into it, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that you also got to understand that there are landmines out there. And if you hear that tick, you better look. You know when you step on that landmine and you hear that click all of a sudden, you're about to get blown up. You have to feel that. He didn't feel any of that. He wasn't looking. It was almost like he played that play and there was an invention before the snap called the crack block. Like it was the first time it was ever used. Like it was invented that day, and he didn't know the way he just got hit.
You know, I'm here with Eric Davis. This reminds me of the conversation that I had with the game day crew years ago on the weekend that the emphasis was first placed. Now, by that I mean mid-season, a re-emphasis or an extra emphasis or more oomph was brought to any previous emphasis on the weekend that Eric LeGrand became paralyzed on a Saturday. And then the Sunday, Brandon Merriweather went top rope on Todd Heap. And Muhammad Massaquoi got blown up by James Harrison. And Dante Robinson exploded Deshaun Jackson coming over the middle.
Oh, I remember that
and
one.
Marshall Faulk said that was Deshaun Jackson's fault for running into the coverage, that Dante Robinson, knowing the coverage, as he should have known that Robinson was right there to come hunt him.
Yes. And that's a part of being an NFL player, that you have to understand what's going on. And I was watching the game last week, and a similar thing happened, and they were, everybody was putting it on the quarterback and saying that he shouldn't have thrown the ball. And I was like, no, you should see the coverage. You should understand.
You're talking about Brian Quick and the London game?
Yes, and you look at a guy get hit in those situations, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this. If you are running across the field looking at the quarterback, I know right now that receiver thinks it's man coverage. The only reason he's looking at the quarterback is because he feels like he can run. He has a clean path to run across the field, and he's just running looking for the ball. Now, the quarterback threw the ball in a spot to slow him down because he sees what's happening. And there are certain situations where you understand that's a zone coverage, and this was going to happen. Actually, in that case right there, it was a alert coverage.
Which cut with Quick?
Where Quick got hit.
With Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie had a fair catch in the end zone to end it.
That's a whole different thing. But that was a alert coverage where it was man, but he had someone coming down, so they both got fooled on that play. But most of the time, when you see that Deshaun case, that was someone running into a zone. A pro player has to know that.
Well, you think we'll see retribution December 24th when these two teams play again, considering Rex's stance on it and Adam Gase's admission that it was a dirty play?
No, I don't think you're going to see that. No, guy.
Well, hold on a minute. Gates didn't say it was a dirty play. Gase said it was a foul.
Yeah,
and he did say that Jarvis Landry is not a dirty player.
He did defend, and
okay?
Rex also said he
that's
doesn't
what Gase
think.
said.
And I don't. And this
Jarvis
is the thing.
is
I don't think it was a dirty play. It was definitely a foul. I don't think that Landry went out trying to injure the guy. I think everyone is up in arms because it's someone who's already had a neck injury. So if that's your teammate, if you're coaching, if that's one of your players, of course you're going to be more concerned about that happening. But that can happen.
Do you think there's going to be retribution?
I don't think so, because I don't think any player goes out there with the intent to injure another player.
I've got Jarvis Landry on the show coming up in a couple of days. When we come back, I want to give you some storylines, narratives that all of us in the national media are throwing out there based on just seeing 6 or 7 games in the 2016 season.
I always love that.
And I want you to either accept or debunk. That's the phrase that's going down in the political world these days. Debunk. Okay?
I'm all about debunking.
Okay. Or not. That's next here with Eric Davis in just a minute time. Brockman, you don't think that was a bad play by Jarvis Landry?
I don't really have a huge issue with it, man. Like, Jarvis Landry's head was in front, and the defender's eyes were on the line of scrimmage. That's just a hard football play.
And that's what Blandino said. It was a football play. It's not like outside of the scope of a football play. Thus, there should be no ejection.
I agree.
Is what Dean was saying.
But it should be a penalty. So defenseless receiver, that's a defenseless defender.
But a penalty, why? Because it didn't look great? Like...
Yeah. I mean, it's ugly, just like when a receiver gets hit in the head. It's ugly, but it's a football play. And, guys, that's why I still think you have to find a way to legislate intent. I still say that.
Let's move on here.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you some narratives. I want you to either accept or debunk. You ready for these?
I'm ready.
Okay, Eric Davis of the NFL Network. Brock Osweiler is hot garbage. That's the narrative in Houston right now. DeAndre Hopkins has been completely erased, that he's not worth the money. And we've already made that snap judgment.
Well, number one, understand that Osweiler always went to the other receiver. When he was in Denver, he didn't go to Demaryius Thomas. He was with Emmanuel Sanders. He goes away from the number one guy because the number one guy gets all the coverage. He goes to the other guy. He's doing the same thing in Houston. That's what they signed up for. Hot garbage. I'm not going to say hot garbage. He is what John Elway thought he was.
Well, John Elway thought he was a $13-14 million a year quarterback.
John Elway also didn't.
He was going to pay him Ryan Fitzpatrick money. Is what he was going to pay him.
Okay, he wasn't going to pay him the Andrew Luck money, and say that we're going to build our franchise around you. He thinks he's a good quarterback. He doesn't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, and I thought Elway was correct. And I said that before. I'm not going to say hot garbage. He's better than a lot of quarterbacks in the league. There's some hot garbage.
I cannot believe, again, as they mentioned during Monday Night Football, that the Texans signed him sight unseen in terms of face-to-face, and he signed with the Texans sight unseen. He didn't stop at the facility to see
what he saw was that check. So he didn't need to see anything else. He saw the check. He was like, I'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, but you could also figure out the rest. You stay put. You take $3-4 million a year less if you. I mean, who am I to say something like that? But I get it.
That sounds great in theory, but that's a lot of money, and his feelings were hurt. We all know that. We saw
because it went to Peyton Manning.
You saw when Peyton Manning ran back out there, they hurt his feelings. He was emotionally scarred, and he wanted to get out of town, so he did.
Here's another one. You ready for this one?
Yes.
Jared Goff not worth the number one overall pick. With Wentz, Prescott, even Cody Kessler, Kevin Hogan might be the second Pac-12 rookie to not be named Jared Goff to start a game in the NFL this season.
He hasn't played yet. I can't.
Well, that's the point.
I can't.
Is that how has he not played yet?
I can't debunk that, because if he comes in next year and he starts to light it up and he's their quarterback for the next 15 years and he plays well, then he's worth it.
What is happening right now?
He's not ready to play.
Why?
There are a lot of ways you can look at that. You can say just the kid himself can't learn what's necessary to get on the field. You can say the coach, that Chris Winkie hasn't gotten him prepared to a point to where he can go out and play. Mm-hmm. You can say that they feel at this point right now that their starting quarterback, Case Keenum, is not the issue. So there are a lot of different reasons. I'm going to say the kid's either he can't grasp what's being asked of him right now, or the coaching staff can't figure out a way to get it into him. It's a combination of those two things.
The Eagles exposed the Vikings' left tackle problem and thus Sam Bradford. That's a narrative right now. What do you got for me on that one?
I agree that the Eagles took advantage of it. I'm not going to say exposed. I think everybody already knew that.
Okay.
I think the Eagles just had the Eagles have a defense that's capable of taking advantage of that offensive line, and I think any team that has a front four that can take advantage of that is going to give them trouble.
The Packers of this year, the Falcons of this year, who take on the Packers this week, Falcons of this year are turning into the Falcons of last year, all of a sudden, after another great start.
No, they're tougher. I don't think this team is going to do what that one did. This is a tougher team, physically. I think physically and mentally they're a tougher team. They've had some tough losses. The last coaching decision, you were in the game. Coaching decision gave you that one. You can even look at a play call, a flag or a non-flag could have changed the outcome of a game. Before they were getting physically beaten up, and then mentally they just started to shrink. I don't think this is the same club.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is an ingrate and somebody who doesn't realize the opportunity that he's gotten. Why would he call out the coach and the general manager like that? Do you agree or disagree with
Ryan,
that sensibility?
I disagree. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a full-grown man that understands this business, that took advantage of the situation that he was in last offseason. Mm-hmm. I said it, and I'll say it again. He was their franchise player. They needed him more than he needed them, more than anyone else in the league needed him. He stuck to his guns. He got what he wanted. They decided poor play. Yes, they benched him. They can cut him. They can release him. They don't have to. He just came back and said, "Hey, everybody lost faith in me." No,
but doesn't that put the coach and the general manager in a really bad spot?
So they put him in a really bad spot. They benched him, and right now he is.
So you did not have a problem with what he had to say?
I had no problem whatsoever.
Neither did the Chris Command Center.
This league for so many years had players that were so obligated to the team that they could say nothing, even when they felt that they were being mistreated. I think that you deserve the right to say, "I don't like what you did." Okay, if you want to cut me. But I'm here. If you're going to play me, you're going to listen to me. It's that simple.
Eric Davis here on the Rich Eisen Show. The AFC West is the toughest division in football. What do you think? 2 5-2s, a 4-2, and a 3-4 team that damn well could be 6-1.
Toughest division.
What do you think?
You're
not looking at the AFC East. I'll walk it through with you. You're not doing the AFC South.
The AFC,
although please tune into NFL Network to watch Week 8's kickoff between the Titans and Jaguars tomorrow night.
It's the most competitive.
You're not going to go with the AFC South.
No.
You're not going to go with the NFC South. NFC West?
The NFC West is a tough division just because of the top two teams in it. That's a tough division.
NFC East? Dallas, Philly, Washington, all above 500, and same with the Giants, and all four above 500.
And that's tough right now. So the AFC West,
all right.
It's
What do you think of that Sunday night football game? I loved watching it. I know you were a defensive player. A lot of people thought it was like watching paint dry.
I thought it was a really good ball game.
I loved it.
It was very well played on both sides of the ball. Offenses had to make a play, and I think it's rare that you don't get fooled, you don't get tricked across the board, both defenses, and they played good ball. I don't have a problem with it.
On tomorrow's show, I've got Michael Irvin in studio, so I'm going to go heavy on the Sunday night game with him there, but I'll give you a shot at this one. What do you think? Eagles, Cowboys, Sunday night football. What's going to happen?
I actually like the Eagles in this one. I think that the defense is playing well enough, and they're limited in what they do offensively. You watched it. I like Dak, and you've heard me say Dak is going to be their quarterback down the road. But there are so many things he's leaving on the table. There are so many things.
What are you talking about?
Rich, I can sit you down with
Please.
the film, and I'll sit down with you and watch film, and you will see plays on there where they could have gotten a first down. It's third down. You could have gotten a first down. You could have gotten a touchdown, and he won't throw the ball. He'll misread. There are times he's looking at open receivers and he'll pull it down and he'll take off running. They give him really simple reads, and if it's, you can tell, okay, well, we got a bunch here. One of these guys in the bunch are going to be open. If it's not open, he doesn't know what to do. Even when his backside read is wide open for a 20-yard gain, he won't throw it because that's not what he did at practice. He's a young quarterback, and I think you can take advantage of that. That's why I keep saying they will be better off with Tony Romo running that offense. You have more options. He can only do so much. He is still a rookie, and he misses a lot.
We listen to a lot of football on this show and across the national landscape. Anybody else saying that?
Have not heard that one yet, and obviously this man's watching the film.
I can show you. I'm not making it up.
I don't think you're making it up.
It's on tape. I can show you.
So you think
on
the
tape.
offense could run at a higher level if they go back to Tony?
Yes.
Because of what he did.
But how do they pull that off though? What do they just wrest the wheel out of Dak's hands and hand it to Tony, even after he might beat Philadelphia?
Dak, you're a rookie. Here, sit down. Sit down. My starting quarterback is healthy. He's going to play. If something happens to him, guess what? I get to put my rookie back in. It's really that simple.
So, Eric, if you're seeing this, though, obviously then they know it. The Cowboys know this. Does that make the move back to Tony that much easier because they see what's being left on the table?
I would think it would be. You should. I don't understand how anyone looking. I don't know how Jason Garrett, although Jason Garrett is not I'm not even gonna go there. But I don't know how anyone. I don't know how anyone looking at this tape can't see that these things are being missed. I mean, I can go to the Green Bay game where they destroyed Green Bay. He left so much on the table. It could have been so much uglier. So now you can say, well, we're getting by, but what happens when you play a defense and when you start getting down the road and you get into these playoffs and you have to go against these defenses like you saw the other night in that Sunday night game that's not really giving you a whole lot of free space? Can you afford to leave those plays on the table? No.
You are the man, sir. That's what Fat Mouthing Wednesdays are all about.
That's what they're about.
Eric Davis says, take the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. As Law's fall of football is just suddenly, I mean, the Eagles beat the Vikings. Penn State takes care of Ohio State. Now you're saying they're going to beat Dallas on the road. We had Doug Peterson on the show yesterday.
Now everyone's going to say just because I hate Dallas. I don't hate Dallas.
No, stop. Who's everybody?
Everyone who
okay, we'll check your Twitter
ever
feed.
meet.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.